Hey, it's Pastor Rick. Don't know if you can hear me or not. We're going to see here in a second. Brian, give me a thumbs up if I'm heard. Am I on? Am I not on? Hello, MSC here. Am I on? We can hear you. You can hear me. That's great. Well, I'm glad you can hear me. I am. Um, I am having a good day. I'm sitting here working through this great opportunity to talk to you today. Bring up Mrs. Bishop. Are you around somewhere? Are you? You can hear me.
Yes, yes, I can hear you. I can hear
I
you
got my
loud and clear. I
I
see
got
you
my
got your
new
earphones in.
I got my new pods. These are the brand new. You know what they do? These things translate into languages.
Oh,
That's right.
nice.
Oh yeah, you can talk to somebody. You can hear what they're saying. I can hear you in Spanish. That's right. I'm.
Oh,
That's the same
wow.
thing. I haven't
But you
shared.
have to have an iPhone, right?
Yeah, you do. Of course, of course. Who
Okay.
doesn't have one? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Everybody doesn't have one. Hey, listen, folks. Thanks for being with us today here on the Prosperity Team. And we got Miss Bishop, and we got a special guest coming up in a little bit, going to talk to us about money and finances. This is where we talk about money, finances in more detail because you can't talk about it everywhere. Can't talk about it in church. Can't talk long. You got to be short to the point because you got 2 minutes. You used to go to church, and I used to have this like you have two sermons, right? One for the sermon, and then the other one for the offering. And you're trying to come up with a special word to get people to give. So can I just give you a special word? Give. That's it. Okay, I'm done. Just give, honor God in your giving.
Were you ever taught how to do that?
To tithe? You mean give?
No, how to
Yeah,
raise an
but
offering.
no. In Bible college, in seminary, none of that. No, I went to the doctoral level. No classes on how to give money because I think they're afraid. I think they're afraid, and that's what makes it so difficult. Because I don't know if church money is like can be tight. It's a 5 to 10% profit margin thereabout. Average church takes in probably I'm getting around 150,000, 30,000, depending on the size of the church. Average church 60 people, 30 of those children. That's why you normally have one staff person, the pastor, and then one part-time somebody doing something. The musicians get a little piece of the money, and then the janitor gets a little piece of money. Because everybody wants to clean the church, and they're going to do it for free until it gets to be 5 years. And after a few months of scrubbing toilets, they go, well, Pastor, we need to hire somebody to do this. So anyway, church money can be fascinating. It's really amazing. I said this before, only about 9% of businesses get to $1 million a year in revenue. 9%. Only 3 or 4% get to 3 million. So even in business, you just don't get to those large numbers. So that's fascinating. We're going to talk about all that today because we're going to talk about our book, Sheila. Brian is back in the background. Our book of the month, sir, that we're looking at. What can you put it up? Is that possible? There it is. Prosperity, Dave Ramsey. We're going to talk about that today. The Total Money Makeover. And then we're going to go through that a little bit first. And then I'm going to bring my good friend in, Miss Best, Yolanda Best, who's amazing. She does this wonderful thing. It's not Social Security. What is it, Sheila Bishop? Say to me one more time.
Medicare.
Medicare. And so if you folks are, one day you're going to need this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I got my card. I do. No, yeah, I got, which one I got, Sheila? Care. Which
Yeah,
one?
you got Medicare.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I do. That's right. So and
Part
she can
A.
explain she's going to explain all this part A, B, C, D, E, F, G things to everybody. And she's going to break it down for us. But first, we're going to talk about this book. So let me jump into that, and I'll come back to you in a minute, Sheila. Let's get to this book for a minute because I think it's important. Let me pray for you first. Father, I thank you for this conversation. I pray your grace upon our talk tonight. I pray that what we talk about brings blessing and grace to those who hear it. I pray that the Holy Spirit would lift our hearts and minds to a new place of power and victory. I pray in Jesus' name that the power of the living God would give us strength today and victory and power as we talk through the power of sharing about finances and money. Wherever people are watching from all over the place, we thank them for being with us in Jesus' name. Amen. Now, listen, if you're here in the chat, you can type your questions in, and we'll get to them later on. Probably will be an hour and 15 minutes is our target time. So you want to make sure you kind of jot your questions down for our guest, who's really knowledgeable about all this Medicare and Medi-Cal, how to get all this stuff done. And you'll hear from a very, very good person in just a minute. But let me start with our book, because that's important. This book is fascinating to me because it talks about, as a matter of fact, it's one of the first books I read by this guy. I was in the airport in Los Angeles flying back, and I was wanting to read something on the way back. I think I was flying the red eye, and I bought this book, and I couldn't put it down. It was really powerful, and it's about how to make your money over and how to do stuff. It's got some really great topics in it: total money makeover, denial, I'm not that out of shape, debt myths, debt is not a tool, money myths, the non-secrets of the rich, 2 more hurdles, ignorance and keeping up with the Joneses. He has this whole thing about $1,000. Boy, get $1,000 is amazing. You'll love that part. The debt snowball, finishing the emergency fund, maximizing retirement investment, college fund, and more. Pay off home mortgages, build wealth. All that's in the book. Live like no one else. Boy, I love it. So I want to give you, and I did not put this in the chat, but I probably should. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Miss Sheila to make sure we didn't put it in the chat, so we can't give it to you. But I can tell you about it. Here we go. We're going to do 2 sessions. And what we're going to do, so just take notes tonight. And these 2 sessions, we're going to talk about the problem and the foundation, which is what he talks about in the book. The core message, Ramsey argues that financial fitness is less about complex investment strategies and more about disciplined behavior. Now, I agree with that. I think it's true. It is about disciplined behavior and how you manage your life. And I agree. Second thing he talks about is myths and obstacles. People believe myths that keep them poor. Debt is poor. There's something called a poverty network. Some of us have one. It's a network we live in that has been in our family for generations. And it keeps us poor, keeps us away from wealth and resources because of the way we think and process about money. Work habits and all that stuff can really hit your life. Credit cards, he talks about that, are harmless. Taking on debt is necessary to succeed. That is a myth. That is a myth. He argues you must first reject these myths. If you don't deal with the whole issue of you got to live on credit cards, you're never going to be free. Credit cards are a trap. They just are. I mean, I use them, but I understand how you can use them in a good way. The best thing is to pay them off. And Sheila and I will talk about that because I had a great conversation. She's screaming right now. Oh, Pastor Rick, don't mention my name. But when we talk about credit cards, and it's really, I mean, I've survived my madness. I have all the cards. I mean, anything you can name, I probably have it. But I'm telling you, keeping them at 0 is the thing. I mean, 0, 0, 0, 0. I zero mine out every day. I try not to spend money I don't have. That's one of the biggest things. If you can just learn to not do that, you will save yourself a lot of anguish. But we'll come back to that and entertain questions about it later. The 2 preliminary actions. Before diving into the main plan, Ramsey says 2 things must be in place. Create a monthly written budget. You got to know where you spend your money. If you don't know where your money is going, you're not going to ever be able to manage it. And he calls it a zero-based budget. Every dollar is assigned something. So every dollar, you know where it's going. And that's one of the things that I think I do well. I can tell you where my money is going. I can show you graphs and charts and all that. And one of the good things about credit cards, if you now this is for me, it allows me to keep really good records because everything is digitized. Now I'm not good at writing stuff down. That's not my gift. No, I won't remember. That's why checkbooks were just. I'm glad those things are gone for me. You had to write down the ledger and all that. I did it, but I didn't like it. I'm better at it this way. So then he talks about the 7 baby steps. Now, Ms. Bishop, I'm going to let you come back in here now. I want you to hear this because I'm talking about you. So before we get our guest in here today, this is the 7 baby steps about this book. I love it. Save $1,000. Start you an emergency fund. $1,000. Dad, you got $1,000, Ms. Bishop? Talk to me.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes. Do you have $1,000? That's what I want to know.
Yes, I do.
I want you to confess it. So if you have any financial needs, send a request to Sheila Bishop at Overcoming by
I only
Faith.
have 1,000.
Okay.
Remember, we
Right,
talked
right
about
there.
having, and you may want to mention that, having margin. So if the
Okay,
minimum
margin.
you need is 1,000,
Yeah.
they need to send all their text messages to you.
Oh, really? I hear you. Very funny. Swing it back. But I think it's. Let me tell you why I like that. I like that because that's the number you can reach. I really do. I think it's really amazing. And then use that snowball, and that's where you pay the least amount off. And if you have say you owe 10,000, 5,000 and 3,000, you pay the 3,000 off. Then you pay. You snowball it that way, small to the large. Tremendous, and it works. It really does work. Build a fully funded emergency fund 3 to 6 months. Okay, that's for some people the big dog trick, right? Here's what I think is a trap, Sheila. You build it to 3 months, then you spin it down to 1. You build it to 3 months, and you spin it down. If you're not careful.
But the $1,000 is the first
right,
piece
the
of
thousand
it.
is the first step.
Yeah,
because then you got
just
gas
have
money.
that, leave it alone,
Right.
and then work on building the 3 months.
Right. Joan
Okay.
Perry called it dignity money. You can get gas, you can get groceries. You know what I'm saying? You walk in the grocery store, I buy anything I want in here. Feel pretty powerful. Got $1,000. It's really cool. All right. Let's see. Really, wow, Sheila, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to take over and take this conversation up and pull in our friend, Mrs. Sheila's going to introduce you to our new friend. Talk to her for a minute.
Yes.
I got to go and slay a dragon. I'll be right back.
Okay, great. Well, good evening again to everyone. And I'm excited to introduce probably to some of you, and some of you may know her if you're Overcoming by Faith, Yolonda Best. And she is the CEO of Quality Life Coaching and Leadership Development. It's an LLC. She is a Medicare specialist. So Yolonda, welcome to the Prosperity Team meeting tonight. She has done sessions before in small groups and with rave reviews. So you want to say hello to everyone, Yolonda?
Good evening, everyone.
Okay. So just for starters, and we're going to dive in because I think you're going to get lots of questions with this. And again, everyone just put your questions in the chat, and you may be asking the question like, well, I'm not at Medicare age. I don't really need to know anything about it. And I'd like to just start things with Yolonda, maybe just, to kind of frame our conversation. Many people, they think of Medicare as just a health decision, but I look at it, some of you may know that I'm a nurse as well. I look at it as a financial decision. So from your perspective, Yolonda, just to get us started, how can understanding Medicare be a part of a wealth building strategy, since this is a prosperity team meeting?
Well, it's truly about being proactive instead of reactive. So I like to always tell people when I enter meetings, letting them know, because people always stress the fact that, well, it's so much information. I don't understand the A, the B, the C, and the D. And I always tell them, had I not have been in this industry, I probably would be just like yourselves, would not really know. So I always feel like it's never too soon to go ahead and to prepare yourself for what's to come. So it's really about educating yourself, getting in front of it so you'll know what it is that you need, because once you become Medicare eligible, there are certain
Which
things
is what age?
Which is 65 years old or older. Okay. Or one can have Medicare based on a qualifying disability.
Okay.
So it's about being proactive and getting ready, because that time will come,
Okay, great. Yeah. And for those that of us that may, again, not fully understand what Medicare is, can you just give us a basic definition of what is Medicare?
Okay, so Medicare it's a federal insurance program that is administered through the Center of Medicare and Medicaid. Okay, CMS is an agency within the Department of Human and Health Services, and they also process the applications for Medicare. Okay.
Okay.
So essentially, those that are working individuals, if you look at your paycheck stub and you see where they're taking taxes out for Medicare, they're taking that money out for your future to have health care coverage.
So
Okay.
in essence, it is not free. It's something that you have
Worked
invested.
for,
Okay.
and you are entitled to it.
Okay.
Now, back in the day, it used to be called FICA, F-I-C-A, where they were taking out for that Part A, which was the
Okay.
hospitalization. Okay.
Okay.
And a lot of people say, oh, it's free. And I'm like, no, not really. You are entitled to this because you've already paid for the hospitalization part, which is the A. Okay.
So that leads me to another question. What we have Pastor Rick back, tag you're it after this question. What are the qualifications for eligibility for Medicare? What are the basic qualifications that we all can understand this?
Okay. So the qualifications, again, to be eligible for Medicare is that you have to be 65 years old or older. You have to live in the service plan area. Okay. You also have to have worked a minimum of 10 years, which is equivalent to 10 quarters. Okay. And be a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
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 Wow. Hey, Yolanda, thanks for jumping in. I had to run and slay a dragon. I'm
okay.
glad, and I won too, quick. But I want I want to say that is an amazing thing. So 65, 10 years. And your question was what, Sheila? Where did I jump in? What did I miss?
What were the basic eligibility? And when we first started, though, I just asked her, many people think of Medicare as being a healthcare decision, but if she could just give us insight on why it's also a financial decision,
Yes, and the financial decision is because, again, you want to be proactive about your health care after you retire. Because people's scenarios are different when they get to reach that retirement age. Some decide that they want to continue to work, like Pastor Rick. Okay. And then there are some that says, no, I'm throwing my hands in. I'm done. I've worked my time. I'm ready. So again, you have to determine, what does that look like?
Well, maybe you spoke to me today. Maybe I need to retire. Maybe you're right. Maybe.
No. Right, Miss Bishop. No.
Okay. No, so you have to really. So I know that when you go through this season, you get to 65. They tell you have to apply for this thing, right? So how does that process go? You got to apply for A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and all in the alphabet. What's that about?
Right. So again, when you're turning 65, you're going to automatically become eligible for it, providing you've acquired those three things that I mentioned: turning 65, being disabled, living in the service plan area, working those minimum of 10 years. So those are the initial qualifications to be eligible for Medicare. Okay. But then we get to the space where some people decide, well, guess what? I want to work past 65. And I currently have coverage on my job, So then the question is, okay, well, what do I do at this point? Well, for some, based on your medical scenario, because I always say everybody's healthcare situation is totally different. So it's about meeting your needs based on where you are in regards to your health. So then at this point, you want to decide, is it going to be more advantageous for me to continue with my group coverage, because I can't do that, and reject the B because I have what's called credible coverage, and then continue to work until I get to the point where I want to retire. And then as long as you maintain that group coverage, and just say 6 months down the line, a year, 2 years, 5 years down the line, you decide, okay, I'm tired, I'm ready to fully retire. Then you would pick up the phone and you would call and say, hey, I'm ready to retire. Now I need to pick up my B. Because again, this is something that you're going to be paying for. As long as you've had that coverage, you will not be penalized. Because
so that money comes out of your Social Security check?
So that money comes out of your Social Security check. Yes, yes, yes. So literally, when one turns 65, Medicare gives them a 7-month window. You have 3 months prior to your 65th birthday or 3 months after your 65th birthday to apply for a supplemental plan or an advantage plan. Okay. But you have that window. And I always like to use scenarios because it kind of brings it home and kind of make a person understand how this really works. So again, in the case, Pastor Rick decides I'm going to continue to work. Okay, I want to continue to work. So guess what? I don't have to get the Part B, which is the medical coverage. Okay, so let's go back to the Part A, the part that they're going to give him, well, not give him what he's already paid into. The Part A, hospitalization. That covers him being admitted into the hospital. That covers home health. That covers skilled nursing, and it covers hospice. Again, how did he get that? Because he's already paid for it. Okay, through all of the years that he worked, he'd already paid for that Part A. The Part B is financed through his monthly Social Security check if he decides to get the Part B. But in his case, he may decide, no, I want to keep my group coverage and I am going to reject the B for now because I have coverage. But just as he decides to retire in the next year, then he would call back and says, okay, I want to get my Part B. So then he would be responsible for his monthly premium, but he will not be penalized because he had what's considered credible coverage.
But you have a time frame, though, right? You have to do it.
Once you decide to make that decision to retire, they give you an 8-month window.
8 months. Okay. 8 months. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, it sounds like, and this is, I mean, I when I got to this age, I was surprised I was this old. I thought, wow, I'm 65. So now I've got this coverage. So let me ask a question. So let's say something happens and my regular coverage that I have is I have a high deductible. They're not going to pay any of my deductible if on my the A. That's if can I use A now at all or no?
So you can use A now, but here's the thing: you can use A because again, you're entitled to it. So you actually have that A. So literally on your card, on your red, white, and blue card, your Medicare card, you should have A, and if you rejected the B, you won't have B. Okay. But here's the thing: you're still covered under your employer's, the group plan that you have as you work. So you still have that.
Wow. So Yolonda, if there are 4 parts, you mentioned Medicare Part A, which is hospitalization, and then you mentioned B, which is like the regular
medical. That's the medical. So the B covers seeing all of your medical doctors. It covers all of your preventive services, your mammograms, your colonoscopy, your diabetes screenings. It covers your lab work. It covers durable medical equipment, things like back braces, wheelchairs, oxygen machines. It covers physical therapy. It covers speech therapy. It covers outpatient services like day surgery. So the B covers a lot. And again, the B is financed through your monthly Social Security check.
For most individuals, to the Medicare, what are the other 2 parts though? If there's 4 parts, you have A, B.
So there's A, hospitalization, there's B, medical. Then there is the part that, and I'm going out of order, but once you become Medicare eligible, Medicare says you are required to get the Part D, as in dog, which is the drug coverage. Okay. Oh, okay. And Medicare says if you don't get it, you will be penalized 1% of the national average for not receiving it. And let me give you a scenario. So, because it's a shocker when some people get their Medicare and they think that they've already paid for the A. So then they're already surprised when they find out, well, they still have to pay a Part B premium too to have the medical coverage. And then they get in this space where they're saying, well, now you got to tell me I have to pay for the Part D. Well, suppose I don't take any drugs, or I like to take the holistic approach. Well, my response is always, it's better to have it and not need it, and need it and not have it, because you and I know that life happens. Okay.
Mhm.
6 months, a year, 2 years down the line, you never know what may happen. Go to the doctor, have an emergency, and the doctor hands you a prescription. Well, you go to the pharmacist to get the prescription. Well, guess what? You don't have any drug coverage. So now you're paying very high cost for medication because you don't have drug coverage. So then you pick up the phone and call Medicare and says, well, I need drug coverage. And they'll say, well, Mr. Temple, you did not get that Part D when you became eligible for it when you turned 65. So we're going to penalize you, and you're going to have to pay that penalty as long as you have Medicare for the rest of your life.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And then there is the Part C. Now the that is the advantage. The advantage covers parts of Medicare where they don't give you these extra benefits. So Medicare comes with the hospitalization and the medical. The C consists of dental, vision, hearing, and things of that nature. Okay. So when you see all of these commercials, because right now we're in the middle of annual enrollment period, I'm quite sure you guys see all of the commercials, the solicitations in the mail, and you see the Humana commercials and the Joe Namath and the JJ Walker and get this plan and get that plan. Well, all of these private insurance companies, they contract with Medicare. And that Medicare Part P premium that you're paying every single month, these private insurance, they get a portion of that money for us, like myself, brokers, to provide you with these plans. Okay, so that's where the C comes into play.
Do you have to have a broker? I hate to ask that. I know that's your business, but do you have to have a broker?
So here's the thing. Some people are just that savvy that they can go online. You can go to Medicare.gov, type in your zip code, and all of the plans will pop up in your area, and you can do your research that way. Now, I'm a firm believer because, some people are not that computer savvy, and they really need assistance with navigating through making those choices. I'm a firm believer in asking a family member, friend, church member, well, who do you have that helps you make those decisions? Because you get these letters in the mails and the solicitations, and you see the commercials. And if you call them, and this is how I advise my members. I tell them, you can watch the commercials. I'm absolutely fine with that. If you see something that piques your interest, write it down, give me a call. I'll come out to you, you come to me. Let's look at what you have and see what it is that they're offering, and we'll see if it's a good fit for you. Because a lot of times, some people can just focus on that one particular benefit and not look at the entire picture, wherein you absolutely have to compare apples to apples. So what that looks like.
Let me ask you this question. We do have some people that joining us tonight that are not from Georgia. Mm-hmm. Are the rules for Medicare throughout the U.S. or are they specific? What you're telling us, is it specific to Georgia?
Well, Medicare goes from state to state. So the Medicare guidelines they're the same across the board. Okay. Now, what varies is the actual plans that you actually choose to enroll into. That's catered towards where you live in the different counties. Okay. Because we have Medicare Advantage plans, and then some people opt to have a Medigap / Medicare supplements. So I always say you get to choose based on what your needs are. But one thing I will say is you're going to pay on the front end or you're going to pay on the back end, but you're going to pay for your coverage.
Great. We have some great questions online. Can I do a few of them, Pastor Rick?
Go for it. You're doing great.
Okay. As a 100% disabled veteran who receives all medications from the VA, am I required to have take Part D?
Okay, so for our VA, for our veterans and individuals that have TRICARE for life, you individuals are absolutely in the best position you can ever be in, because you can do things that regular Medicare recipients can't do. You have options, okay? And the scenario I will share with you is, like, for instance, my dad, he's a veteran. Well, the options you have is you have your VA system that you can use, even though you're 100% veterans, but you can use these other healthcare systems outside of the veterans as a second opinion. You will receive extra benefits like dental, vision, hearing. Okay, so you have more options. And the reality of it is you're entitled to it because you're paying for it through that Part B. So you have more benefits that you can use. And like I said, you guys are the only ones that can have Medicare, they can have VA benefits, and they can have another, like a Medicare Advantage plan.
Another question on Part B. If you have a healthcare plan, I think you've mentioned this a little bit, that covers drugs, dental, and vision, do you have to get Part D?
Okay, so the Part D, so literally you can get Part D three ways. So you can have standalone Medicare, meaning you can just have original Medicare Parts A and B. Okay, Medicare requires you to have a Part D. So then if you choose not to get an Advantage plan or a Medigap, you have to have what's called a standalone drug plan. So it's always required for you to have a standalone drug plan unless you are a veteran and you get your medications through the VA or TRICARE, or unless you get your medications through a current employer.
Okay. We have another here. Great questions. The individual currently lives in Mexico and consider to cancel Plan B. Will I accrue a penalty if or when I return to the U.S.? Also, I supplement Medicare with TRICARE for life.
Now, I can't honestly answer that because right now you're in Mexico. So I'm not exactly sure how that would actually work. But I would think if you have she said she had TRICARE for life.
She does have TRICARE for life, the supplement for Medicare.
So if she has TRICARE for life, she has to have the A and B. Once you become Medicare eligible of age, you have to have the A and B.
Okay. All righty.
All right. Well, listen, I like this. This is wonderful. What made you want to do this kind of work?
Well, I love helping people. I really love serving and helping people. I'm passionate about seniors. Because they're the individuals that need the help. I've been in homes where, you will see elderly people, and some of them have children, some of them don't. And just to be in a position to help them is, it's very rewarding. I enjoy it.
Yeah, you and Sheila have something in common with that. She has that whole same passion. But let me tell you something that you don't know about Yolanda. She is so smart. She's smart. You can tell that already. But she's a business lady person, like entrepreneurial. She doesn't mind doing things and taking that risk and stepping out and selling for. And I mean, she's the kind of salesperson who doesn't mind working on commission. I mean, she doesn't.
That's all I know.
That's why imagine, Sheila, you eat what you kill, right? It's like this, but what's wonderful about what you're doing now, this is not really going to cost them anything to use your services.
That's the great thing about it, because at the end of the meeting, well, how much do I owe you? Absolutely nothing.
See, that to me, that's
you owe me
why
nothing.
I think it's
so that's rewarding. It's a sales position, but there's no money that's exchanged. It all goes through their Medicare. So
we have
that's
another
the part that's
question
really
online.
rewarding.
Sure. We have an individual that says they're dealing with their mom's benefit via a broker, or what her children saw as a gatekeeper. Some of the terms of coverage differed than signing up for Medicare and Social Security. Can you speak to that?
Well, so again, it really is contingent upon what that person's scenario is. So in order to speak to it, I would really need more information.
Okay.
I mean, because there's so many different dynamics to the Medicare and the Social Security aspect, because a lot of times, when people see what they have to pay for that Part B premium, some people, when it comes to their Social Security check, they may be getting $1,000 for Social Security, $500 for Social Security, and not knowing that there is help and there's assistance out there to help pay for that Part B premium. So that's where another component where comes into play that I absolutely love, because again, I'm putting a person in a position to receive assistance where it was something that they thought they weren't able to get. So going into a home, it looks like sitting down, evaluating what they currently have, and asking them questions in a dignified way to see if they're eligible for additional assistance. And if they are, I assist them with it. Don't get paid to do it, but I do it as a complimentary service, because trust me, when I help them, they go and share it with someone else. And that's how I'm able to build what I do on top of just helping people. So
we have another question from our member in Mexico. And the question is, can I use Medicare outside the U.S. and is Mexico in the service area?
So as long as it's an emergency, if you're traveling
really?
in an emergency, you can go to the emergency room, yes.
Okay. I didn't know that. Okay. And
Wow.
Leroy Bolden said Yolanda is excellent at her craft.
Thank you, Leroy.
Thank you, Leroy.
That's right. Yeah.
And we have Valerie said, if you have worked 20 years but now are self-employed at the age of 65, can you get A and B?
Valerie, if you have worked 10 years and have paid taxes, a minimum of 10 years from the time you've started working, and you paid 10 years into the system, yes, you can. And so I would encourage you to call Social Security. You can go to socialsecurity.gov, create an account, and trust me, it shows you what you've worked and what you paid into.
Do you know how many years?
I hate to ask this because I don't want to change this to a political conversation, but if we already paid for this with the FICA or whatever, and now we need it, why do we have to pay again? Why does
Say it again, Sheila?
If you've already paid for it, because Medicare is what you've already paid for, why do you have to take a portion of your Social Security check, because we need it for our prosperity plan, to buy insurance to get something that we already paid for again? Is there a reason?
Honey, I don't have the answer to that, but I say the same thing, and I pray that it's still there when it's time for me to get it. Because you think about it, I don't know if you guys, I'm quite sure if you've gone and see what you paid into, when it's time for you to retire and get that Social Security, you don't get a fraction of that money. So like you said, that's another, it's like really?
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I don't have the answer to that question.
Okay.
Let me jump in and say this. I think I want to bring you into our money conversation back to our book. Okay. If you guys have questions, you can send them in and we'll do some more of her questions in the end. But so Yolanda, you have a good relationship with money. What have you learned about money since this is our prosperity team? And what have you learned about money? What's your big money lesson?
My big money lesson is to save for a rainy day. To don't spend every dime that you have, because life unexpectancies will happen. And being in a position where you can go and make a transfer. I'll give a prime example. I got to get a 100,000 mile service tomorrow, $1,200. So if I didn't have $1,000 in my savings account where I could just transfer, it would be stressful, so stressful. So just learning to save, the power of saving and planning for the future.
Now, you know our book, and put our book back up again, my great friend Brian, so you can see, this is our book that we're looking at today. And we're going to look at it again next month, I'm sorry. And it'll be divided into two conversations. So total money makeover. Here's what he says. Dave Ramsey says, invest 15% of your household income in retirement. Everybody's quiet. now Sheila, we talked about this a little bit. That's a pretty aggressive. How many people do you know that you've dealt with who did that? Is that a common? Have you seen anybody who does that normally? 15%?
Well, most people don't tell you what they save.
Well, I mean, you deal with people though, Yolanda, in retirement. Do you think they made it 15%? probably.
I mean, if I had to look at the people that I currently serve, the majority of them don't, Pastor Rick. No.
Yeah. I think his plan is nice. But I think that the average is really 10% of people in America do that. 10%. And what's interesting is I don't know that I think the average savings for a family is 5% a year. 5% is what they would save. I wonder, I have had a view that this whole, when you get to this age you're at with dealing with retirees, they must look shocked, right? It's like, I'm here. I'm really here. And I don't have the cash and the money that I thought I would have. And I'm like shocked, right? Do you have that impact when you see people? Do you see them when they look at the money? When you're sitting like this, you're going like, this is the look you got right now, right? you're like, yeah, Pastor Rick, I see it. Is that what you see? Shock and awe kind of a thing?
It's almost sad to say I don't know, people are just, some people, I won't say all, that it's almost like a condition. They just, it's, I don't even want to say it's something that they settle for, but maybe if it's, can I say almost norm, it's the norm.
It's the word I'm going to, go ahead.
I think it takes being in a space where we are, like even in our congregation, to learn to be intentional about your money. And that's one of the powerful things about what our ministry provides us, as a church, because I can't say that there were a lot of, life lessons that I learned when it came to finances from my grandmother, but you kind of steer away from that. But then to be able to come back and come under a teaching where a church provides you the resources. Back in the day when I first became a member, two small children, what is it? Dave Ramsey. What was the first book? The Financial Peace class. Mm-hmm. That's years ago.
Yeah. Well, before that, we did one called War on Debt by John Ambasini. War on Debt by John Ambasini. Yeah, that was years ago. Yeah, that was a long time ago. Can you guys hear me okay? You hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. John Ambasini. But I've always struggled with it. I've always struggled. This whole idea of having this prosperity team meeting and all this kind of stuff, this was born out of, as I plug up my computer, this was born out of a need to talk to our members about money and to find ways to communicate. Because if only you're saving 5% of your income, you're going to end up in a place of financial challenge. And these are the people you're dealing with. You're dealing with people who come to this and now they've got to get B and they got to make a payment of, they got to lose several $100s sometimes out of their Social Security check. So the average Social Security check is what, $1,500 or about $2,000?
About $1,500.
$1,500. So to take $200 or $300 out of that or more is a major decision for your family to deal with.
You got a question online, Pastor. We've got two, as a matter of fact.
Go for it.
Do you consider 25% towards retirement too much?
If you got it rolling like that, I mean, you in the top 1% of the people. I mean, if 10% are giving 15%, you can do 25. That thing is wonderful. But here's the question: what are you giving? There's something that's simple, in a business world. If I look on your balance sheet and I see you with too much cash, what that means is you're not investing in the future. You're not investing in the now. You're not building infrastructure. So for example, I would say if you're saving 25%, right? Is your house roof okay? Is your house updated? Do you go on vacation? Do you have a life? If you're able to do all of that and you have that kind of margin, that's fine. But I think you have to be careful. Do you tithe? Are you a giver? Are you saving 25%? I just want to know those things too, because, and again, if you can do all of that, that's fine. I think the real power is in marginal investing. So you set an amount and you stick with that amount. You know, if you can do 10%, whatever it is, you stick with it, and then you live. I don't believe, and this is my view, Yolanda, love you. You chime in since you're a guest tonight. I don't believe in just living to save. I think you save for a purpose. What do you think? Miss Yolanda, are you there? What do you think?
I agree, because I mean, my stance is, I mean, you save for a purpose, but then, like you said, you also live. We have one life to live. And I always say, I don't want to die empty. I want to do everything that I've ever desired. I want to check off my bucket list, but then there are also things that I know I still need to do as well. So,
but on in your path, and we do have one more other question though, but I want to ask Pastor Rick this is, can you just speak to, is there a season where maybe you have to sacrifice? You can't do the dream vacation, or maybe you can't drive the top level car, how much do you need to save before you start doing some of those things?
You might die. I mean, I mean, if you wait until you're perfect, you could be dead perfect in the grave. I mean, then your kids gonna spend it. I just think you have to have a balance. I think you have to live your life. I believe Susie Orman said something that I just love. She said, do what's best for you, not what's always best for your money. There are moments when this is just good for us. I need a vacation. This is just good for us. My car is stopping me on the highway every 5 minutes. I think there are moments when you should do something for yourself. I don't believe in a whole bunch of debt. I don't believe in being crowded. I believe in good margins, but that's tough. It's tough, especially if you're on the other side of opportunity, right? If you get married, your husband spends all the money, or whatever happens, or your wife, and or your child gets sick, something happens that puts you on the other side of opportunity. I understand you have to sacrifice. That's your original question. Sacrifice. Yes. Do what you have to do now until you can get to where you want to be. But I don't believe in sacrificing all your money, all your time, all your vacation, all your life to get to some magical place, and then you die and you leave it to your children.
One question for Yolanda real quick, because we got a couple more here. If someone is still working and covered under their employer's group health plan, will Medicare Part A be responsible for any hospital payments?
Yes, because at that point, that Part A is active. Yeah. Okay. So literally, depending on, it could be where the Medicare Part A could be the primary, or the group coverage could be the primary, depending on I think it's the size of the organization that determines which one is primary versus secondary.
Okay. Pastor Rick, question for you. How do we determine how much to save for our children's inheritance?
You're not going to like my answer. I'm going to tell you now.
That question is from Leroy.
Okay, listen, I believe in leaving assets to your kids. I do. I got some problems with, what's that called? Property. Oh, my goodness.
Heirs property?
Heirs property, yeah. Heirs property. I've seen that be a disaster over and over again. I think you have to do it right and make some hard decisions on the front end about who's going to be responsible, how we're going to manage it. Otherwise, they'll fight over it and it becomes a zoo. But in terms of the amount, Leroy, there's a book. You ready? Leroy likes to read. I don't know if this book is still in print, Leroy. It's called Die Broke. He says, spend all your money, teach your children how to take care of themselves, and live your life and die with nothing. That's what he said. Now, I didn't say do that. That's not my advice. That's the name of the book, Die Broke. And everything's a book with me, right? There's a book. So what's powerful is.
But should you save your money should you save for your children's inheritance? That's what he wants to know.
I ain't doing that. No, I'm not doing that. I'm saving for me. If something's left for them, I plan for them to have something. But I am not saving. I don't live for them either. I live for me. Now, people say I live for my kids. I don't do that. I don't live for my grandkids either. I love them too. I love them both. They're cute little people, cute little girls. Laura and Melania.
Is it biblical to leave an inheritance for your children?
Yeah, it sure is. It is. It's biblical. I ain't saying don't leave them nothing, but I'm saying I believe in it. I believe in leaving property. I keep up my stuff for them. I know that they'll end up with it. But I got a will, and I've got all. As a matter of fact, I got somebody I'm working on now to be here to talk about wills, hopefully next month. And if not January, I'm working on it right now. Okay, so we may not be able to get them in December, but we'll surely get them here in January. Talk about wills and all that. No.
Leroy says, "Oh, Tay."
Yeah, okay to him too. Listen, here's the deal. I believe in loving your children, and but you know what? I think they need to have some fire in their own bones. They need to have some vision and some skin in the game, and not just waiting for me to die to have what I got. What you got? I need to see you try. I need to see you waiting for me to die, or I'm gonna get a big whole house when he's gone, and then you sell my house and take the money and go party. No, I'm not for that. I'm sorry, that's me.
Lolita asked a question. Have you heard of the 50-30-20 rule?
Yeah, all that works. 50, 30, 20. They got all kind of rules. They got 20, 30, 50. They miss them all. They go. Yeah, I've heard all that, Lolita. I think it's great if you can do all that. But I think at the end of the day, you got to come up with your own percentages and margins. I like 10, 15%. I think that's a great number if you can do it. I like the idea of being able to say, I'm going to spend, only this amount of money on vacations. I like that. I like but I'm going to tell you, the best thing in the world is cash. The best thing to do is have that. Like you just said, your car broke down, something happened to you, you can go get it fixed. Because a lot of people, and this is the surprise for me about being 67, it came faster than I knew. And now I'm here. But I'll tell you something else. I'll tell you what you see. Now you tell me, Miss Yolanda. One of the things, because I know I got you thinking that you like this, I can tell your mind is working. You thinking hard.
I'm just something on it.
Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed is I have noticed that most people my age don't have a good income. Most people my age, they have health issues. That's expensive. Talk about that, Miss Yolanda. What do you see with the health issues of the people in my age bracket?
Wow. It's serious.
And you come into
It's serious. Because a part of what I do is when I meet with individuals, if they want my services, the first thing I tell them is, I need of course, your Medicare ID number, your date of birth. I need all of your doctors. I need all of your medications. When I say it can be very overwhelming because the amount of medication we take is, when we look at especially our ethnic background, it's a lot. And here's the thing, that's why I said when it comes to even your health and your finances, you're going to pay one way or the other. You're going to pay on the front end, you're going to pay on the back end. One of the things I always say is with the plans that I give, the majority of the plans, guess what they give as a benefit?
What?
A free gym membership. Well, that's for preventive measures.
Mm-hmm.
So, and sometimes it's hard to have that hard conversation because we can use that and be proactive and go to the doctor and make the necessary adjustments. And I always tell the members, they'll say, well, not all, well, I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take that. And I said, well, you have this as an option too, because we know the older we get, it's about mobility, right? Miss Sheila Bishop, who I see walk around the park. And I'm learning the older we get. And for me now, it's not about doing the rigorous things, but it's about being consistent with movement. Mm-hmm. So we don't have to take the medications. Yeah. And my thing is, if you're not going to do what the doctor tells you to do to get yourself off of the medications, then you have to take the medications in order to live.
Yeah. Sheila, is that something you've seen too in your, because you do?
Oh yes, I've seen it a lot, and I just want to make a disclaimer here before I say the things that I'm gonna say. I don't think life is about perfection, but I have seen more people take liberties with their bodies like they do with their money, and I think walking in your 20s, your 30s, whatever, you're walking for the future. And people say they when she talked about prevention, it's a big thing. And I think when you look at the landscape of your prosperity, however that looks, again, all things in moderation. I'm not one of those people that think you can't eat French fries. It's not the one order French fries that will do you in. It's letting that be your norm of what you're going to do. But I think we need to make a personal investment in our health like we do our wealth. And I think that it's important in terms of investing for the future, because a lot of the medications, we talk about having the Part D that pays for the drugs, but you can develop certain things. And we're not talking about the small percentage of individuals that end up with these rare kind of things. We're talking about some things that are preventive. And some of those medications that a simple thing of insulin, you have to come out of pocket on a lot of these medications. And I personally know people that cannot afford basic things. So, you know, we got a lot of national discussion about various things, but I think make the personal investment in your health and looking at it. And there are basic things that we can do. And I think, again, even for this prosperity team, I think, you know, having someone to come and just basically talk about the importance of taking care of your body and how that will add to your bottom line is, I just can't emphasize it enough. And so all the basic things, the weight management, where you take care of your dental care, all of that. Poor dental care can lead to heart disease. There you go.
You know, a lot of people don't know that, and it can. I think it can lead to brain issues too. I think I've seen.
Oh yeah, it can, and there are just a lot of things, as simple things that we can do to feel better. And I just think even, you know, changes in your body and being honest about how certain foods make you feel. If they're making you feel something other than happy, then you need to maybe not eat as much of it.
You know, people don't realize your teeth are close to your brain. I mean, just to be honest, I mean, it's real close.
Well, you know, like I said, we're changing just a little bit, but you talk about a lot of toxins and a whole lot of different things, but there's just basic things that we can do to invest. And back to Leroy's question, how do we determine how much we save for our children? I would say to people is, as parents, older parents, be good to your body so your kids can have a prosperous life. Because otherwise you're going to have someone to take care of you. And,
you know, the average caretaker spends $7,300 or so a year helping their parent. You'll save your parents your children rather, $7,300 a year just because you took care of yourself. They don't have to take care of you. There's something. I'm not saying feel guilty if you.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely not saying that either. No, but
what I'm saying is, I believe that health leads to wealth. I mean, if you can save at 67, if I'm healthy, right? And I'm watching my numbers. And that's one of the things I'll just say. One of the things that I think gets you in trouble is your numbers. What are the common diseases that you're dealing with? You say you take a list of the people. What diseases do you see first, second, third when you look? These are I'm going to probably hear what? I'm going to guess one.
High blood pressure.
Obesity.
High cholesterol.
Diabetes. And every one of those things, we're not negating the DNA. We get that. And sometimes people default to, well, it just runs in my family. Well, you know, you can slow it down. It may be running in your family, but you can slow the run down. And all of those things have a level of prevention. And even if you end up with it, there's a management that goes along with it.
I mean, I have to watch as cautious as I am. I have to increase my game,
I do
increase my
too.
workout. I'm in the middle of that now. I just lost about a bunch of weight. Good bit of weight. I'm down to 184, 3 today, 84. I fluctuate between 183, 85. I like that little seesaw I'm going through. But yeah, the lowest I've gotten was 177 a few years ago. But I think that staying away from the numbers I was at, I was getting up there in two. No, not I've never been two really. I've been two for like 5 minutes. I mean, just right back. Well, alone. But I got up to 198, and I said, this ain't good. And then, then side poses on television, you see it. Then you start lying to yourself, no, that's really you. That's all you coming out there, boy. You need to do something, and it's because the carbs and the carbs. Just love them carbs. The bread. I love the bread. I don't eat much. I eat wheat bread mainly. But my point is, all that leads to wealth, which is what we talk about today, prosperity. So I think that to be able to do what he says in the book, you're going to have to make sure you do that. Let me mention a few
another question, Pastor Rick. Can we speak on Medicaid? Are there different types of Medicaid, and what are they, and how do you know if you have it?
Okay.
Go for it.
So Medicaid. Okay. So Medicare is a federally funded program. Medicaid is a state funded program. So earlier when I mentioned where there are some individuals that may receive assistance with paying for that Part B premium, well, that assistance comes through the state of Georgia, which is Medicaid. So it's based on your income. Okay, so some individuals are eligible to receive assistance through the state with paying for that Part B premium.
Wasn't there something that the governor of Georgia rejected? What was that we rejected that the government offered? Was it some kind of, I can't remember what it was. They didn't the governor reject Medicaid or Medicare, not Medicaid. The federal government offered something, and they have a supplemental program here in Georgia.
Now I think you're talking about affordable health care, or you're talking about the subsidies for affordable health care?
That's what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about.
That's another subject. That's another session, people. We'll come back to that. Okay.
Well, it's another reason to try to work and create a plan that you're not having to depend on the government and what side,
Well, I think one of the challenges, though, I agree with that, Sheila. I think that you should try not to depend on the government. The problem is disparity and poverty. Jesus said, the poor you'll have with you always.
Oh, yes.
The government in Romans 13 has a responsibility to the people, and the people have a responsibility to government. The Bible said for us to pray for those in authority, and that we may lead a quiet and peaceful life, assuming that they're going to help our life be peaceful. That's their responsibility. And then the Bible says to them in Romans 13, they're judged by God for not doing well as leaders, that there's a judgment that comes upon them. So I have a responsibility to them. They have a responsibility to me. The Bible says, give honor to whom honor is due. If they want taxes, I pay taxes, but then they are responsible for being a good steward of those taxes and making sure that they're able to protect me in case somebody tries to come in and take over America. They're supposed to make sure that if I get stuck up on a mountain, that they'll send somebody with that helicopter to get me. You know what I'm saying? There's a responsibility. So I do think it's a two-way street. I agree with the statement of Kennedy. Don't think what your country can do for you. What can you do for your country? I get that. But I also think that the problem is when government is not responsible, it creates disparity. The whole slavery history of our country created a subclass economically of people who have been trying to climb out of that for years and centuries. But those that had the opportunity to climb out have a responsibility to put their foot on the wall and climb out. They have a responsibility to do what they can do. I'm the descendants of slaves too. I was raised by a single parent too, but I was taught to work. I was taught to have integrity. I was taught to read. I was taught to apply, to strive. So I feel that I can't just say it's the government's responsibility. It's got to be my responsibility. Now, I love to say, I got to know where God's responsibility begins and where it ends and where mine begins.
We have one more question for Yolanda. Can you explain what Medicaid estate recovery is? Can and how does it affect everyone? We getting close to time.
Medicaid state recover.
Medicaid estate recovery.
Okay,
What is
no,
Medicaid estate recovery?
state recovery.
I'm
I've
not
never heard of
familiar with that. I've
Medicaid.
never heard of it.
Medicaid estate recovery. I've never heard of
I
that.
think we're going to have the lawyer on here for that one. That's going to be that, and then we have a lawyer coming,
Yeah.
so we'll save
Yeah.
that one for the lawyer. Okay.
Medicaid state recovery can.
Yeah. So one thing that I know we talked about, I guess, give a summary here because our time is almost up, and we're going to let them up. 8:15 is our time. So give any final thoughts you have about this whole, what you do and all that
Yes.
stuff. Tell us about it.
Yes. So again, this is the annual enrollment period. It started October the 15th. It ends December the 7th. So if you are not certain about where you are in regards to your healthcare coverage, or if you're looking to assess what you have and to see if it's working for you, or to see if there's something out there that's better suited for you, please feel free. I'm available to reach out to see, to meet those needs. I'm that type of person. I believe in, like I said, looking at what you have, analyzing what you have, and seeing if you are fine where you are. And if you are, I just this week, I told like 3 people, stay where you're at, don't move. But if I know there's something out there that can be a better fit for you, then I will help you navigate in that process. So that's one time a year where everyone can make that change. So please feel free to reach out. I can be reached at 912-695-3945. I have an office in the senior citizen building. I make house calls. I do virtual appointments. So definitely, or if you know someone else that is in need. So, yeah.
Well,
We got
thank
some
you.
individuals saying they'll be calling you soon, Miss Yolanda.
Yes.
All right.
And also, let me say this one thing, because this is a thing that we sometimes we lack in. Your plans will send you every year towards this time what's called an ANOC, your annual notice of change, letting you know what's changing in your plan. And a lot of times we don't read that information. It's essential that you do, because the reality of it is all of the plans are changing in one form or fashion or another. So they're going up on medication. Some plans are being eliminated in the area. So you got to know what you have and what needs to take place. So I don't say this, just to say it, but literally make sure you read your mail and reach out just to make sure you're on the right track.
And Barry said he's 60. He was wondering why he was getting Medicare calls right now.
They call me and I'm not ready for it. It's solicitation. So you have to be careful.
Thank you, Yolanda. You've been great.
Thank
And
you.
we'll have you
Thank
back.
you,
another time.
Yolanda.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank
Y'all have a
you.
good night.
We'll see you next time. She's amazing. I like her.
She is.
She did great. Now we talked about money. We got about 5, 6 more minutes here, Miss Bishop. Let's talk about some money stuff, because in our book, and next time we're going to finish our Moneymaker book and go through the latter chapters. We divided it in half, so we talked about half the book today. Believe it or not, we kind of went through the main areas.
Really?
Yeah, we did. We covered it all. We covered quite a bit of it. We did not talk about everything. We didn't talk about saving for your child's college. Well, I did tell you about that, right?
Yeah.
I believe in doing that. I think if you can save for your kids' college, it's a great thing. But I think the biggest thing that gets you in trouble is trying to send them to schools you can't afford. That's a whole nother conversation. Building wealth, I think, in giving generously. I believe in tithing. I'm a big believer in tithing, and I believe God established a guideline for people, but most don't listen to it. So I think they miss out on a lot because they're not committed. But I think you got to be committed to yourself, to God, and committed to saving and building a future. But let's talk, if we can, before we leave, Ms. Bishop. What do you think about when you think about churches, finances, money? What is your outside view? Well, again, outside, but what do you think when you look at it?
Well, I think my honest opinion, without thinking about it, I know you were going to ask me that, is I think it's really, when it just comes down to money, it's how you prioritize, and it's where you place value. And I just think it's as simple as that. We have people or know of people, there's a responsibility that comes with the money that you earn. And I think, I love what we do at our church, that we not only want you to be givers, but we want you to be savers. And to me, that's sort of solidifying that foundational principle of looking at what's important. And I think, like we talked about exercise, if it's not a priority with you, you're not going to do it. I tell people all the time, when it comes down to exercise, for me, the thing that helped me the most, I just decided up front and was honest with myself. I really don't like it. And even if I go for if I go for a long walk, short walk, long run, short run, the best part is when it's over. And it's the same thing, with money. It's like, what is it that you have to do? I have to take care of my responsibilities. And do you believe in the principle of tithing, the principle of giving? We say good seed sown in good soil. Do we believe that? And I think it really speaks to the things that, what do you prioritize? What's important to you? So
I think we take the fun out of money.
Mm-hmm.
I think that churches, religious people, without knowing it, what I don't like is the only thing we do is ask for money. I think that's one.
That's why I think it's so powerful that you just made that a part of our program, if you will. Not only, give, but, you need to save and have some for yourself. And it makes it feel like it's not just one way. And I think I don't like criticizing churches or whatever, but for a long time, I know I just let you do that. I'm like, ugh. But, for so long, it felt like the prosperity plan, this is the things that you're exposing us to is phenomenal, because for so long in church, it felt like the prosperity plan is, if you give me $1,000, you can wait and expect that God is going to give you a return on that. And I'm not saying that he doesn't. I'm a living witness to the goodness of God in all of that. But we use that like a
genie in a bottle. That's what we use it like.
Well, I let you say that, Pastor Rick. Now,
that's
not
exactly
me.
Right. Let me say this as we close. We got about 2 minutes here. Let me say this. I believe that God wants us to give. I believe we should be generous givers. I believe in tithing. I believe that God wants you to honor him. But most Americans don't have but 5% to save. That's why they're having trouble tithing, because they don't have a margin in their income. And until they fix that, they're not going to ever be able to tithe or give more money. So
but do you think it's a thing where, okay, if the goal is 15%, well, I can't do 15%, so I do nothing. I'm suggesting it's a priority. Start where you are.
I start 1%. I think you start somewhere. But my biggest point is, you never have a conversation. So people never get a chance to talk to you. They never get a chance to hear from you. So when you talk about money, giving you money, help me know how to manage. That's why this book is good. So let me close with this. I'm gonna pray for you. This book is good. It'll get you started, get your money right, get your health right, so you can save money and be in a better position. You're not there now. God knows where you are. Get there. Let's prosper together. Let me pray for you. I got 1 minute left. Father, I pray for those today who've come to this moment. I pray the Holy Spirit would bless them. I pray this would be a time of healing and blessing for them. I pray for prosperity in their life. I pray for them to be great givers and great savers. And I thank you in advance for what you're going to do in their future and their finances, in Jesus' name. Amen. Hey, listen, it's been great. Thanks for joining the Prosperity Team today. Look forward to seeing you next week. Next month, we'll be back here second Wednesday at 7 o'clock, same time, completing the book, more questions. And then, like I said, I'm working on another guest for you to talk about wills and estate planning. That may not be next month, or maybe January. We'll work that out, but we'll let you know. But you'll have me, and we'll finish the book and talk about other things. That would be great. So thank you. If you have any more questions, you can email me at pastor@overcomingbyfaith.org. That's pastor@overcomingbyfaith.org. One more time, pastor@overcomingbyfaith.org. I think last time we gathered, we had 450 of you who joined us. I pray, and hundreds more eventually. But thank you for being with us live. God bless you. See you next time right here on the Prosperity Team with me, Pastor Rick, at Overcoming by Faith. Bye-bye.